Whew. All right. Let's see. Everything looks pretty good, I think. All right. Well, I hope everyone's doing well today. I took last week off because, I don't know, there's been a lot of stuff going on, so yeah, took a week off. Had some workshops last week that I did. And actually, I've got a couple this week that I'm doing, but they're not as intense, so that's good. I see Hana's in the stream, so hello, Hana. Check out Hana. She does live streams as well on behalf of Adobe for Education. And yeah, so I guess everybody's ramping up for fall semester. I know I am. And we've got some planning to do in terms of these streams that we're doing for Adobe for Education. We've got some meetings tomorrow about planning for the new semester, for the next year, that kind of thing. So, yeah. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at this guy over here, Lightroom. So I was mentioning to Hana that I don't think I've ever done a live stream on Lightroom. And I'm doing a Lightroom workshop tomorrow, so I figured it's a good time to do it, you know? To get kind of reacquainted with some of this stuff. So yeah, I've got some stuff inside of Lightroom here. And actually, I just recorded some content on Lightroom for a book of mine that's coming out in December. So I've got this album of book photos here. But I took some other fresh ones this morning. So actually, some of these were taken just, yeah. So you can see here, recently added. We got 15 minutes ago. I took these three. So I got some little sprouts coming out of one of my trees. Here's some nice shadows and things like that in my backyard. And some grass. And wheel on my car. Has some nice texture and contrast. And 19 minutes ago, I grabbed this one, which is a bread knife. I've been baking a lot of bread. Did some baguettes yesterday. And so I had a bread knife out. And I was like, oh, you know, the light. You know? It's pretty intense right there. So I thought it was interesting to take a photo. And we've got different textures. We've got wood and the handle, the cutting board. We got the metal and the biting teeth of the knife. So, yes. Yes, yes. What is this? Some kind of nonsense. Oh. I like that I always have these streams at the same exact time that I have my landscapers come and do work, and then they trigger all my cameras when I'm doing this. Anyway, so let's go ahead and look at some stuff around Lightroom. One thing that I thought was pretty neat, I'll just go to all photos here. Here's my cat Poe. He's a good boy. We got some photos of my campus. So this is the University of Colorado Boulder here. Obviously, this was taken earlier in the spring. This was taken at some point as well, a nighttime shot at CU Boulder. Here's another one. This is actually the hall I'm going to be teaching in. One of my classes this upcoming semester. It's one of my favorite large lecture halls to teach in. It's in the Visual Arts Complex. And it's pretty nice. It's a nice big room, lots of good lighting and everything. Huge screen. I got this awful photo. This isn't very good, but it's a photo. I got a bunch of tofu all lined up, ready to be roasted. We've got the light rail station that's somewhat close to my house. I like this photo because of the, you know, goes off into the distance here, but also the colors, the yellow and, you know, the tracks here. It's kind of neat. Got this one. This is wheat berries. So wheat berries are nice. You can prep them. They take forever to cook, but they've got a really neat texture to them. Like, they're very, like, I don't know what the term is. They're, like, chewy. They've got, like, a chewiness to them. But they take forever to cook. Actually, I should make some wheat berries today. Anyway, so let's take one of these photos that I took here. We'll do some work on it, and then we want to check out Discover and Remix. That's kind of like what I was thinking would be a good thing for this, right? So let's go ahead and, which one should we focus on? Let's do this one. It's so colorful. Let's make it look sort of old. So I'm going to go into my edit panel here. And yeah, we got a bunch of presets, right? So these presets, they can go through and apply certain, particular presets. Like here's a bunch of black and white ones, right? So I'm always very partial to black and white. Retro presets. Yeah, I mean, I don't... Edgy. Ooh, edgy portraits. They're probably just all, like, high blacks, right? Yeah, just, like, contrasty kind of stuff. Yeah, so you get the portraits here if that's... Portraits. Presets here if that's kind of, like, the way you like to do stuff. Then it's right here. However, I don't usually use presets. I usually just go straight into edit. This is kind of interesting. Recommended presets. So it analyzed my image, and then it's recommending certain presets, which is pretty cool. So I'm looking at all right now. Maybe I want to see all the black and white presets it recommends. And you can see it does give you kind of a nice starting off point. There's so much variation you can do with photography. So I used to, I'm going to close my presets here because I'm not going to use presets. I used to do a ton of photography when I was in undergrad. So I was a communications major in my undergrad, communications media. And the last couple of years, I just took a bunch of studio art and also a bunch of photography courses. Yeah, and it was cool. I used to use a little 35mm black and white manual Pentax K1000 and everything. Photography is very different now than it was then. I mean, just like so satisfying having the weight of that camera and like, just the very precise, deliberate movement as you advance the reel of film and everything. Just super. And of course, using this, you don't get any of that satisfaction. So let's have a look here. What do we got? I want to definitely remove most of the color from this, or maybe all the color. So let's go into color here. And yeah, we got saturation. Let's pull that down. I'm gonna take the saturation way down. I don't think I want to remove it completely. Let's warm it up a bit. So the reason I'm starting with color here is because it's going to be very different, right? The settings that I choose for my light based on whether I'm dealing with color or not. So I remove that. Let's actually go into effects too. I'm going to pull my vignetting down a bit as well. And I always like to add a little grain. So one thing I used to do as well with 35mm photography is I would actually... I liked to use high ISO settings. I like to do low light photography. And I did some at like, different clubs and shows and stuff like that. But, you know, just going around and just doing it for regular stuff that you would do, like either outside at night or inside in the darkness. You can do some really cool stuff. And one thing is with you know, high ISO, long exposure photography, right? You get a lot of grain in there, and I always found the grain like to be nice. You know, it adds something to your photos that isn't quite there if you don't have the grain. And I know, you know, it depends on what you're doing, right? Like a lot of people, for like, if you're doing like a portrait or something, you know, they don't necessarily want grain all over their portrait, right? So let's see. Exposure, let's actually take that down a little bit. And you can really overdo these things, right? You got to be very careful in Lightroom. You don't want to blow it out too much. Contrast I still like to use. I know we've got like, you know, these guys down here, shadows, whites, blacks, and highlights. But I do like to bump the contrast a bit, especially in a black and white or a low color photo. Let's take that down. Get rid of some of that stuff there, right? Now we can lighten the shadows, or we can bring them even farther down. I'm going to lighten them a bit. The whites. The blacks. Yeah, see, taking the blacks up helps quite a bit, even more than the shadows. And you just kind of tweak it. You just tweaky. And of course, the way we used to deal with these, right, is we would have to go into the darkroom. And it was always a combination, right? Because even before going into the darkroom, as you are, you know, developing the film, so we'd put them in a canister on a reel, put the chemicals in there, and then you'd have to, you know, slosh it around for a certain amount of time. So, you know, I used to just like put an album on and just like do that, you know? And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was fun stuff. I miss it. I miss that kind of manual, kind of tactile process that goes with developing film and printing. Yeah, but you develop the film, right? And depending on if you overdevelop or underdevelop, that's going to influence what you can do with the negatives that result from that. Of course, then you bring it into the darkroom and you can expose it to the light in the enlarger, and the timing of that, the strength of your chemicals, everything influences it. This is like so precise now, the things that we do inside of something like Lightroom. Let's add a little more color to it. Maybe I won't go black and white on this. Maybe I'll just add a little color. I don't know. Yeah, I was planning on... Oh, I actually like that. Taking the clarity down a bit, it makes it look kind of dreamy, you know? I was actually planning on doing like a bunch of stuff inside of Animate this month, but I kind of ran out of time in terms of planning goes. I want to do some like code-based creative coding type stuff inside of Animate, but that stuff usually takes some time, some planning to figure out exactly what you want to do for each one, right? And yeah, I ran out of time. And like I said, I'm doing these Lightroom things the next couple days. So I figured, let's go. Let's do Lightroom. All right, I think we're pretty good with the edits here. I'm going to go into my crop. And, you know, I framed this in a certain way already to be interesting enough, right? So the way I framed it is we've got the the grass, the lawn here just kind of swooshes in from the corner. We've got the trees and bushes as framing elements. So, you know, there's not too much. I don't know, I'll play with it a little bit, but I think we're pretty good in terms of the current crop. Maybe just tighten it up a little bit. That'll be good. In terms of healing brush, I mean, it's a scenic photo. There's not, like, a ton of stuff to do here with the healing brush. Same thing with masking. Yeah, not really much I really want to do with masking. So I don't know, let's revisit up here, up top again. Let's maybe tint it a little bit. I don't know. Let's change the coloring. To be warm. Yeah, it's like I'm not going for realism here in terms of how things actually look. I took this, like I said earlier, I took this photo like 29 minutes ago. So, yeah. And of course you can always go down here and click on this little guy and see what the photo looks like without any adjustments. All right, so that brings us to Remix. Let's have a look at the Remix workflow. So a lot of people don't know this exists, and I think it is gaining a little more notice, right? However, if you go up here to share, of course you can export the image right here. You can get a link and share it on the web. And then you've got under community, you've got share to discover. So I'm going to go into share to discover. All right. So give my edit a title. Title must have at least 2 characters. So let's see if I can think of a title that's 2 characters or more. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Look how smart it is. It's chosen it as a landscape, nature. What else could I do here? Yeah, that's good. So here we can, if I share this, people will be able to save my edits as a preset, which is pretty cool. So I could save all of these edits as a preset if I want. But let's see. Let's give it a title first, because Lightroom's getting angry at me. So I'm not putting a title in here. And not a lot. I know there's people watching. I can see the count here, but not a lot of chatter today. Definitely let me know how you are all doing. In the chat. Say hello. All right. What am I going to call this? Summer. Let's call it end of summer. Because this kind of is the end of summer. Like I mentioned, I'm less than 2 weeks now. I'll be back teaching. And actually, this is Wednesday, so this will actually be the second day. I teach on Mondays and Wednesdays this semester, so this would be the second day of class for my large class. Describe the process. Nah, I don't want to do that. No thanks. Categories is good. Okay, so way down here, what do we got? We got allow remixing. And this is the cool part, right? So allow mixing. See how others would edit your work. You'll always own the rights to your work and maintain attribution as the original author, which is good, right? So let's allow remixing. And I'm going to go ahead and share. And this will take a moment, of course, because it has to publish everything, right? So here we go. We're inside here now. My edit is live and ready to share. So if I copy this to my clipboard, I can also go to the link itself, which opens up in Lightroom for web, right? So this edit is still processing. Please come back later. But yeah, if anybody wants to play with this, let's add it to... There we go. Just pop that in there. Might be fun for people to play with it, right? Yeah. So let's close that. And this is actually interesting, right? Let's click on this right here. So it tells us again, it's still processing. It's like, okay, there we go. But yeah, I can see everything here, the edits that I made, and we can save that as a preset. So if I save this, would call it end of summer with attributions to me. And yeah, it shows all the different things that I did to it. Save that. And now I'll be able to recall this as a preset, right? If I look at info here, yeah, tells me I took this with my iPhone. And it's got the f-stop, it's got the shutter speed and everything here. It's got the ISO rating. Copyright. It's all rest. Yeah, but if I wanted to remix this, I just click remix, and then I can do my remix. So how do you get to this, right? This particular panel, you can actually get to it from the Photos panel, the sidebar over here. If you go to Discover. So, you know, you got your Learn stuff here. And this will give you tutorials and also kind of like step-by-step things like, hey, how do you do this or that? How have people, you know, taken the photo from one photo to this, you know, interpretation of the photo. So, yeah, there's lots of good stuff to look at here, but we've also got Discover. So in Discover, we can go to My Profile, which is what we've seen here. So here's the remix. That's pretty cool. You hover over it, and you can see what's done. So we can go to Remixes. Yeah, so these are my remixes that I did. There's the original. There's my remix. Like I said earlier, I tend to make a lot of things black and white in pretty high contrast. Yeah, but these two are actually put out by the Lightroom Remix It team. So they do have like public remixes that they do, I think, once a month. Cool. Yeah. So here it looks like we've only got one remix, which I imagine is mine, right? Oh no, look at that. Someone, probably one of you all, have gone through and done a little remix. Very cool. You've also got the ability to get to featured remixes. So you can take any of these and do a remix. So maybe we'll do one of these before we close. And you got following, and there's one that's just remixes. So here's like a bunch of remixes. Here's a bunch from Celeste. So yeah, cool. Let's see, you all. They're all from Celeste. Oh well, it's to be expected. So if I go back to featured, let's take one of these and remix it. Oh, look at that insect there. That's a little creepy fellow. Let's just remix this one here. Remix. It's a cool portrait. Start editing this photo. When you're done, click next. You'll have the chance to leave a comment. Got it. All right, so here we are inside the photo. So what I'm going to do is first, my ideas for this, I'm going to crop this thing. There we go. Cropped. And Take the exposure up a bit. Again, let's make it black and white. Because I like to do that. Just take all the color out of it. Take that saturation down to -100. Texture. Bump that up. See, clarity, you gotta be careful. If I put this way up, right? You can start seeing like the backdrop and things like that. But right about there looks pretty good. Add a little vignetting. And I want to add grain to this. There we go. Simulate that low light photography. Which is funny because like they've got, you know, stuff in here for noise reduction. Right? It's like, no, I want to add noise to this thing. Because that is how we do it. Let's increase the contrast a little bit. So I don't want to lose her hair in the background. So I gotta be careful. All right. So that's pretty good. I'm gonna say that's a good edit. Let's go next. And we're almost done. So reframe, and it'd be great if I could spell. Reframe and and that's what I did, so post that remix. Here it goes. So yeah, of course you all can grab that remix as well from here. Go back to my profile, see that. There we go, there's the original. And I think it's still processing. That's why I don't quite get it. Yeah, it's still processing. Which I'm not sure what to do with that, but there it is. Hey, Hannah says she loves remixing. Yeah, it's fun. You know, and I think... Oh, look at that. Here, just remixed. That's cool. Shows them side by side. Yeah, so the cool thing is when you go into a remix like this, you can see other people's interpretations of it. And you can see as it's going through kind of step by step, applying all those different things to it. Pretty cool. So if I select one of these others, like this one here, so that definitely made that lighter. Oh, this one's kind of interesting. Oh, look at that. They completely changed like the colorization of the gown there. Interesting. Yeah. No, it's all fun stuff. All right. Well, so one thing I've been doing the past couple of weeks is recording a bunch of videos for a project. And how many videos do I have recorded now? It's a lot. Check my log. Where's my log? Anyway, I'm gonna need to get back to that. Is what I'm talking about here. Where's Excel? There it is. Let's see, I've got... I've done about 170 videos. all told, I'll have about 215 when I'm done. And I'm hoping to get them all finished today, so I can be set with that project. And be ready for, well before the new semester starts, right? Take care of all the summer projects. Okay. That is it from me today. Yeah, that was fun. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out with me today. It was kind of short, but that's okay. I think after after today, after tomorrow, after this week is over, I think I might have a clearer direction as terms of like what I want to do with this stream. But yeah, I kind of teeter a bit on whether to continue these or not. Anyhow. Yeah. Thanks again. Everyone stay safe. And yeah, I'll be back here next week at around 9 a.m. Mountain Time. So later.